A king was walking on the roof of his palace. Meanwhile, the king's eyes fell on the roof of a house near the palace, where a very beautiful woman's clothes were drying. The king called one of his concubines and asked, "Who is this woman?" The concubine said, "King, this is the wife of your slave Joheb." The king was mesmerized by the beauty of this woman. The king started thinking of ways to reach that beautiful woman. The king summoned Joheb through his slave. When Joheb appeared, said the king, "Joheb, give this letter of ours to the king of Yemen, and also bring the answer to this letter." Then Joheb returned home with this letter, and put the letter under his pillow, and started preparing the travel equipment. Stayed overnight and left for destination in the morning. He didn't know what trick has the king played with him. Meanwhile, Joheb disappeared from sight. The king secretly reached Joheb's house, and slowly the door of Joheb's house started knocking. Then his wife asked the doormat, "Who is?" Said the king, "I am the lord and king of your husband." Joheb's wife heard this and opened the door. The king came in and sat down. Then Joheb's wife was very surprised to see the king in her house, and began to inquire from the king why he had come to her house. Said the king, "I am here as a guest." Joheb's wife was a virtuous and wise woman. The wife understood the king's words and said, "I seek refuge in Allah. I see no good in your coming like this." Hearing this, the king got angry and said, "Hey girl, maybe you don't know me. I am the king, and your husband's master." Then Joheb's wife started saying, "King, I know you are the king. But elders say, no matter how hungry the lion is, but they don't eat dead. King, you have come to drink water in this bowl, in which your dog has drunk water." The king was very embarrassed by the words of this woman, and left her and went back. But in haste he forgot his handkerchief there. Joheb remembered halfway through the letter the king gave him. He forgot at home. He quickly mounted his horse and galloped towards his home. Joheb reached his home. When taking the letter out from under the pillow, his eyes fell on the king's handkerchief lying on the bed, which the king forgot in his haste. Seeing this, Joheb's head started spinning, and he understood that the king sent him on a journey just for that, so that he can fulfill his purpose. Joheb left with the letter, and after finishing the work he returned to the king. As a reward the king awarded him some honors. Joheb took honors for his wife, bought some valuable gifts and clothes for wife, and reached home. Greet the wife, and said, "Let's go to your house." Asked the wife, "What have you brought?" So Joheb started saying, "The king has given a reward, and all this I have brought for you." The wife got ready and went with her husband to her parents. Joheb left his wife and returned. And despite the passage of a month, neither asked the wife nor called back. A few days passed. Joheb's wife's brothers came to meet him, and they said, "Tell us the reason for your displeasure with our sister, or shall we bring you before a judge?" Joheb started saying, "As you guys understand better, but I have paid all the rights." They took their case to the judge. Judge called Joheb. Judge was sitting next to the king at that time. The girl's brothers said, "Judge, We had handed over to this person a lush garden full of fruits. It destroyed our garden. All the fruits were eaten and the trees were cut down. Judge turned to Joab. Joab said, "The garden that was given to me, that garden is in good condition. I have returned them." Judge now turned towards these brothers. They started saying, "Yes, the garden is back to the same state. But we want to ask him the reason for returning the garden." Said the judge, "What do you say, Joab?" Joab said, "Judge, I did not leave the garden due to any malice or enmity. Rather, I left because one day I entered the garden. I saw tiger claw marks there. That is why I was afraid that the lion might harm me. So out of fear of the lion, I stopped going to the garden." The king, who was sitting on a pillow, was listening to all these things. Everyone understood and said, "Joab, go to your garden in peace. By Allah, there is no doubt that the lion came after you. But he could not leave any impression there. No leaf could be broken, and no one could eat the fruit. He stayed there for some time and returned disappointed. Swear to God, I have been around the garden just like you, but never see such strong walls." And the case was dismissed. Joab returned to his home and brought back his wife too. Neither the judge nor anyone else knew what had happened. Having a good wife or husband is nothing less than heaven in this world.